experimenting during the show, then it's purely and simply that I'm trying to mix it up. So welcome to the broadcast. This is Livestream Talks. Let's meet the team. And there we have it. Right, okay, I'm going to go across. Hello, Chris.
Hello from Belgium. It's good weather here, and I'm all ready for this beautiful live stream.
Hello, Marco.
Hello, welcome. It's not my Greetings from sunny Portugal right now. Be here again.
Brilliant. Okay. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Jim Ziegler. I'm at my summer house on the moon today. No, I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia.
And hello, Harper.
Good morning from very toasty Arizona.
I needed to do two things for.
I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Hello, Maria. Hello.
Hi
Harper.
there, everyone. From sunny and very
toasty Arizona,
Ontario, Canada. Hi, everyone.
Right. Is anybody watching the broadcast live at the moment?
No.
Not in this room. I mean.
No.
Okay. So I was getting feedback from sort of.
I was hearing it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it.
It might have been mine. It might have been mine because I've got a thing that comes up and speaks to me and says Peter tablet time. Peter tablet time.
As you've just guessed, this is Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter from Aberdeen in Scotland. A rainy Scotland today.
No.
That's no good. And hello, Nick.
Hello, I'm Nick, and I'm from the birthplace of British aviation, sunny Farnborough.
Now, just to let everybody know, while Peter adjusts his set, there has been a big launch today, a big announcement, and it would be remiss of me not to mention it. You can now download from the App Store, the Apple App Store, Be Live mobile, and you can go live on your mobile phone anywhere in the world with one or two people on screen, broadcasting to 5 destinations, including Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Wow.
And it just works. And it's free. It's free for everybody.
Yay.
There is no charge.
Thank you.
Is it open to all types of phones? I mean, Android and Apple?
No, it's just iPhone.
They haven't made a test of the.
You need to make that
We're being left out again, Jim. Marco's got his iPhone. Chris has got an iPhone. Maria probably has an iPhone.
I was able to do it one time.
On my Android.
I've got an Android.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You
So
got
we'll
an
have to wait.
phone, don't you?
They did say as soon as the iOS was launched, they would start work on the Android. Well, complete work on the Android. So it is a work in progress. It should be along. Well, I'm not going to go a date, but it should be along. Okay. Right. Now, the way this broadcast works is that we all live in different areas of the world, and we all have different outlooks on life. And to actually get the broadcast started, what we should do is take a nominal topic, and then things just go from there. So if you're watching live, thank you. And the nominal topic I chose today, with some help, and I'm going to show it on screen. If I press the show button, that would help. Is it important to be a risk taker? Now, this can be on a personal level or on a business level. Have you taken risks? Are you going to take a risk? What do you feel is risky and what's not? Is crossing the road risky? That sort of thing. Let's just make a start and just take our first volunteer, because I gave you a notification of this earlier today. So I'm not going to go first. I'll follow your lead. So who's going to go first?
Harper.
I'll be the Paul Lynn and go for those people who remember Hollywood Squares. But
it's a bit risky, Harper.
There you go. You talked about, is it risky crossing the road? If you ever come to Tucson, stay in a crosswalk, because if you're not in a crosswalk, people will run you over down here. So, but yes, I think it's important to take risks when it comes to business. Now I'm not talking about all your eggs in one basket, all that kind of stuff, but you need to, like, every one of us took a risk when we decided to try live streaming. And it is a risk because you're putting yourself out there. And I'm very shy. I don't, all that kind of stuff. But I just kind of have to force myself to have this I don't care attitude, even if that's not how I feel. But I have to tell myself that so that I, able to do that. But in order to get up and speak to a room full of people, or a whatever, we do have to take risks. And if you want to, in order to, a lot of business plans say, in order to succeed, you need to move past your comfort zone to move to that next level. And I think that's very accurate. And but as far as life risks, I'm not. I mean, I drag race, but I mean, to me, that's not really a life risk because of all the safety stuff. But business wise, and expanding past where you're at now, I say definitely take a risk.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
It's gone quiet all of a sudden. We need somebody to step up to the mark.
I'll step up.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm taking a risk right now. The biggest. Everybody takes a risk from the moment you're born. From the very moment you're born, you begin taking risks. It's when you approach a young woman and you're single in a nightclub, and you have to walk across the floor, and there's that risk that you're going to be rejected and have to walk back in front of everybody. And there's all kind. But in business, there are so many risks, and if you don't take a risk, there'll be no reward. Risk and reward are commensurate with each other.
Yeah.
If you don't take a risk, if you don't step out there and do things like, my gosh, when I started my business in 1986, I was a high dollar employee of automobile dealerships. And I came home to my wife one day and I said, I have resigned. She said, well, what are you going to do? Replace that income. I said, well, I'm going to start a consulting company. She said, who else is doing this? I said, nobody.
Yeah.
I'm creating an industry. And I promised my wife that I would either be successful or go back into the automobile business as an employee within 60 days if I couldn't make it in my business as a consultant. And the first seminar I did had 17 attendees. And it was amazing because only one of them paid. The rest of them were just my friends that I put in there for good photo opportunities. So I could use it for advertising. And the first time as a professional speaker, they say that one of the things people most fear, and Harper brought it up, is speaking in front of a large audience. And I am a professional speaker. I've spoken hundreds of times before thousands of people. But the first time I got in front of an audience of about 400 people, I am afraid every time I speak. I'm a high dollar speaker. I am paid a lot of money to speak in front of big audiences, but I still am afraid every time. And in the beginning, I got up in front of an audience one time and I said, my name is Jim Ziegler, and I always get nervous in front of an audience. And I'm very nervous right now, and I'm very, very nervous that's talking to you, and I'm really experiencing some anxiety. So if you bear with me, I'll get over it in a minute. That's the way I started my speech. So that's taking.
A lot of times it helps.
That is my disclaim your anxiety. People want to help you. They want to be your friend. So take a risk, step out there, do something. I saw a cartoon one time where this old decrepit couple in wheelchairs were getting married. And I mean, they were just really old. And they said, this is the couple that waited till they could afford it.
Oh.
Take the risk, get out there. I see people living lives they hate and jobs they detest, and they won't do anything about it. Make a decision, take a risk, step out there. Indiana Jones, step out there into the chasm, and maybe the rock will appear. That's what I had to say, Stephen.
For sure.
Right. Okay.
For sure.
I mean,
Okay.
5 years ago, I did take a risk. I, for a living, actually wrote software, and it was for manufacturers and distributors, and I got customers throughout the UK. But like you do, you get into a rut, if nothing else. And I was the only programmer. I thought I needed a change, and I'd been on Blab and I enjoyed it. And when BeLive came out, I thought, I enjoy doing this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wind down the software side, and I'm going to make a business out of going live. And it was difficult because the software income was going down. But the risk did pay off, because by the end of the first year I was working for BeLive, and I've been there ever since. So that was my biggest risk. That if I'd gone and stayed in software, I wouldn't be sat here today. So obviously it was meant to happen. But I think sometimes you've got to sort of just go for it, just do it. And if it works, good. If it doesn't, then have a fallback position. If you don't have that, just panic. Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Peter.
Well, this is quite interesting, Jim. We've got a fair bit in common, actually. I started my business in 1986 as well. And, just sitting just now, I'm looking back on some parts of my life. I used to be a bus driver. And I remember all the bus drivers sitting at the table during a break. And I'd listen to them how they were going to rule the world. And they were going to do it this way and that way. Okay? And then I'd actually come back to the buses with the intent of building one business, but I still needed a job to keep me going. So what I done was I took a risk, and 7 times I had to go and get a job as a milkman in the morning. In Britain, we used to deliver the milk to the doors coming back. And 7 times I knocked at this guy's door and basically told me to take a hike each time. And I went back. And in the 7th, I got the job, because I said to him, if you don't want me coming back next week, give me the job. So I started on Monday. Now, that was a risk. So I built the business up part-time. So I done the milk, finished, and then so that's the story of my starting. But at the time, I'd worked for a worldwide business now, doing pest control, and the guys used to sit and said, well, if we started our own business, we would do really well. Let's face it, we would. They sat there and said that until they died, unfortunately. They all died, the same guys, and they were saying the same things. But you know the difference with me? I took a risk, I left, and I'd done it. And guess what? Some of them got jealous. I remember getting a Mercedes car. And someone once said to me, it's okay for you having a Merc. I says, do you want a Mercedes? Yeah. I says, well, listen, get up at 3 in the morning in the middle of the night, in the cold, and in the rain, and in the snow, and deliver milk. And then go home, get washed and shaved, put your suit on, and then knock on doors and write letters and follow them up with phone calls. And then on Sunday, don't lie in your bed. Get up, Well, I personally delivered all the Sunday newspapers in Aberdeen, collected them from the train and delivered them to Aberdeen. And if you do that or similar, you can have a Merc. And that was what happened. So I took the risk and they didn't. And they sat there and they got old and they got grey and they got grumpy and they got jealous.
Peter, blood pressure, Peter.
No,
Peter.
I've got good blood now. But even today, I'm going to wait to take a because who's making that noise? Right. Today, I've got to take another risk. I've signed a deal for a brand new van. It's a risk at my age. I'm scared. And then I put out a job. You say there's no jobs. I put out for a part-time pest controller. And the job applications are terrible. So I'm going to have to turn it into a full, because people want full-time permanent. So I'm going to make it full-time permanent. And I'm going to take that risk and hopefully build it up. So that's my risk taken. And one more risk I'll tell you about. I'm a cyclist. And every time I go on the road in Aberdeen as a cyclist, I take a risk. But do you know what I do to reduce that risk? I drive, I cycle defensively. And that's what you do when you do a risk. Look at your options. End of story. 10.
Bravo.
Right. Okay. Hard act to follow, but who's going next?
Wonderful.
It's the way I tell them.
It surely is.
Yeah. I don't mind. I'll go next. I'm more than happy to go next. Yeah, I just thought you're thinking of a couple of risks, because you can take risks when you're in employment, and then you take risks when you're doing things for yourself. So when I was in employment, when the last job I had, working for the charity, I was the finance manager and accountant, and they for some weird reason they wanted us to transfer over 200 nurses onto our payroll. All these nurses were based in Germany, where our biggest contract was, and we had a very small HR department, and no one really wanted to do it. So I said, "Go on then, I'll do it, no problem." And my boss was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." I said, how hard can it be? It'll be fine, no problem. And the thing was, they all said, "Look, it'll be like a 6 months job. You go live in Germany." And I'd never been to Germany, so it was like, "Yeah, go for it. Let's see what happens." 6 months ended up as about 14 years, which was really cool. It morphed. This is the thing. I was unprepared to take the risk, so it morphed from doing a transfer to then actually setting up whole departments out there, and then just basically, bringing that functionality. And then, because that was our biggest contract, it was like it made sense to do all the contracts out there for the rest of the world. So I had all that, and yeah, it was really great. And so if I'd not taken that risk, I'd have been sat there not pen pushing anymore, but tapping away and having a very non-exciting life in London. But then the risk, so that was great. But then coming to the end of that, when the marvelous government decided, let's take all our troops out of Germany, thanks for that, you get a choice. And the choice was, as I said to Debbie, my wife, that's another reward from the risk, of course, is that I met Debbie, my wife, in Germany. But then, they say, "Oh, we're going to take all the troops out of Germany." So that's like, okay, so that's my cushy life is about to come to a crashing end, one way or the other. And so again, you have another choice. Do you take another risk? And I said to Debbie, look, either we can sit here. This was 2013. I said, either we can sit here in Germany till 2019. Pick up a nice big redundancy payment and then do something, or we can actually come back now. You can see your mum more because she's old, and I'll just do something else. I was at the stage I did not want to carry on doing what I was doing for another 20 plus years. So yeah, that was the risk I took. So we came back. I resigned. I actually resigned. I'd watched. This is a crazy story. I had watched a Mönchengladbach Christmas market, and I was watching them shifting sausages in bread. That's all it was. And they were shifting these out like Billy-O. And I was thinking, my God, the accountant in me was doing some calculations. And I thought, I'll tell you what, if I just did that or paid people to do that in the UK, I thought, I'm sure I can make enough money that will get us by. Anyway, long story short, I didn't do that, but I did try. But yeah, so I came back and I said to them, I'll just do different things, and whatever I find I like, I can do, then I'll do that. Now the interesting thing was, my boss at the time for finance, he was like, I can't believe. He said, first of all, when I resigned, he said, you're not allowed to. I said, well, can't really stop you, Keith. But in the space of 3 months, to make life easy, I mean, basically, I was the only one that understood the contract, so they kind of took me on a consultancy basis. So it was even more money. So it was quite fun, and then it just wound down. But no, in that space of a couple of months, the CEO of the charity had a big review. He was a new CEO. He decided he didn't like people being there more than 2 years, and this was a very old charity. My boss had been there for 30 years. The guy that my junior that would then take over when I was gone to Germany, he'd been there 20 plus years. And so they were just eased out. They got in someone else that basically did a hatchet job on them. And so I'd taken the risk. But actually, if I'd stayed put, I'd have probably been outed anyway, because I've been there so long. But at least I was able to do it on my terms and do the things that I wanted to do. Has it all been a bed of roses? No, of course it hasn't. It's had its ups and downs, but come on. Without any risk, life would be so boring. And it's just, you just don't know. And you could die tomorrow. But the thing that I'm always told is it doesn't matter whatever you do, because you're here right now, you have been prepared and you have dealt with every situation that has ever occurred in your life to date. And you've successfully dealt with it. So no matter what happens, it's all good. So that's my view on risk.
Love it. I love it.
Did you learn German, or did you find it difficult to learn German? Or?
Ich habe mehr Deutsche vergessen als erinnert. I think.
Sehr gut.
Sehr good.
Sehr gut.
Lost Jim. Right, Chris, Marco, Maria.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I work in education, and that's a sector where people don't take any risks. When you don't take risks there, all will be fine. But I'm an ET in education. I like experiments, and I want to make a legacy, to find new things. And so I take many risks. And the risk that I am taking now, that is to integrate live streaming in education. There are risks because you don't know what the students will say online. You don't have control about all those things. But I like when you can make a relation between you and the students, and when you can have their trust and you trust them, they will behave. And that will go, and then you can take that risk to do all those things live. I think also that live streaming and that taking risk, you can do that on a good way, so you can reduce the risk by differentiate some things. When you talk about money, don't take all your money to one thing at the financial market, or to two risky things, but differentiate them, and don't do all things at once. So you have more things that can't go wrong. Taking risk makes me also resilient and adaptable, I think. I can do many things. And the most craziest thing that I ever done, that was going to Vienna to search miniature. It's a little painting on a manuscript, an old book of the Middle Ages, but I didn't know that it even exists. I told that to someone because that was a very good risk, but I found it. So I was happy that I take that risk. And so you see, when you do that, and when you are not too risky things, just when you do also not all the risks together, then you can have beautiful things with that, and you can make life better of people. You can mean something for people taking risk, and when you do nothing, well, there will be nothing new at all. So I am a risk taker, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
So taking risks makes you excited.
Yes.
Really?
Maria,
I would say
shall we?
excited and scared.
Yes, hi. Myself, my goodness, I've been taking risks since I was 10 years old, and I've never stopped. And I've learned a lot about myself. My risks are calculated risks. I sit down and I write down what I want to do and what do I need to do to get there. Because being as a single woman, I have to have calculated risks. It's my own money. So whatever I do, whether I'm traveling or whatever it is that I'm doing, it's up on my shoulders. And so took my first risk I took my first risk when I went to Italy, and I was able to get into the Conservatory of Music there. And then after that, when I went and got married to my husband in New York City, and we started a business there in 1982, and then I left New York City, came back to Canada. That was a big risk for me. I had to start from the bottom up. 1986. Bought my first house in 1988, another risk. And I have never stopped taking risks. And now, I've been in real estate as an investor for 21 years, and now I'm going to be taking more risks. Again, calculated, and I kind of go very, very slowly, very, very slowly when I'm taking my risks, and I always find somebody who's done it before or who can guide me as far as when I'm taking my risks. But I must say to everyone here, I'm so happy to have met you all. I'm so happy to be listening to your story. Like Peter, I loved your story. Jim, Harper, Chris, I'm going to be hearing about Stephen also, and then Marco. I mean, I'm with a wonderful set of people. My good, I am with the people I'm supposed to be with right now, as far as the streaming part of my business. So I thank you all, and you really pumped me up. I learned so much from you every week, and today has been really special to understand, the risks that you're taking and what you've taken. So thank you very much. I love being part of this group. Thank you.
So do I, Maria. And we have a technical problem.
Yes, I know.
We need to get to the bottom of it. So, in order to check this out, Nick, could you turn your microphone off, please? And back on again.
Hang on, it was off. Let me turn it off again.
Right, whose microphone is on at the moment then?
Mine. I just spoke.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll turn it off.
No, okay. Just trying to work
Mine
out
was
where
off. Mine was off. I'm turning it off.
It could just be a broadcasting problem. Anyway, let's move on and bring in Marco onto the screen. And Marco, it's over to you. We'll be in a second.
Is that an execution?
We are talking about risks. I think we should make here a kind of difference between taking risks and being audacious, because I think there's a difference. For instance, what Maria mentioned was, for me, was audacity, was not taking risks. Because I'm a risk taker, because sometimes I put myself in situations which I'm not aware what I could have, what I need, what I could deal. Maybe, and I think it's something important when we put ourselves in this maybe difficult situations, is to understand and to be committed with that. Okay, because sometimes okay, let me do something different, but we don't make the effort to overcome this, to be successful, and that's a risk. Yes, okay, because being audacious is not about this. It's when okay, I'm going to put myself in a unexpected situation, a difficult situation, in a not ever tried situation, but I'm willing to struggle. I'm willing to make the effort to overcome this. And I think that's the main problem here, because we see people being kind of they don't have the conscience about what they are doing, what is the commitment, what is the price to pay by being the first one running this path, and they won't succeed because that's the point. Yes, we have this when we put ourselves in this risky situation, there's a percentage which could be bigger or smaller of not being successful. But if you commit, if you know, if you're at least a kind of because when we are doing something for the first time, we are not aware of all the things that may happen to us, all the risks that are included in this. But at least if we commit with that, it will be different. If we understand the risks involved, what risks are truly risks, and which things could be kind of difficulties, not critical for the success. And let's talk about live streaming, for instance. When I started making live shows in English, okay, it was kind of a risky thing because it's not my native language. I was not speaking properly English. Well, but I thought, okay, maybe I can improve. This is not the main thing about the live streaming, because I already knew, I think, how to deal with camera, how to deal with microphone, how to uh, keep the conversation flowing, and this is critical. But all the rest, it's kind of not critical. Okay, so this is also something important, because, for instance, sometimes I took risky decisions which were risky at the end because I didn't commit it. I didn't make the whole effort to overcome that. For instance, when I applied to a business school, to a business grade, I didn't commit it because I didn't went to classes. I didn't have the background, and it was okay if I made my high school in science, biology, chemistry, and these kind of things. And then for certain, I was there in a marketing, in a very hard core business college. Okay, I didn't have any background about it, but if I committed, went into to classes studying, I'm pretty sure that I will succeed. But I didn't make this at the beginning. So I think this is something that we should have in mind is, okay, we may put ourselves in risky situations, but we are aware of that. We are also willing to succeed. We will struggle, we will fight, we will overcome the difficulties, because otherwise it will be risky for sure. And maybe this will lead you to the failure. I think this is the most important takeaway about my experience. It was because I like to put myself in. When I started live streaming in 2015, I was talking to people. Look, there's this thing about live streaming, and I say, "You're crazy." Uh, and so many things I made, like kind of crazy. But those where I committed, those where I put passion, where I put effort, I succeed. Those where I didn't make this, I failed. So I think it's the very important thing when and I think if you think about your experience, those situations, those risky situations that you put the effort, you succeed, and those you okay. Let me see, and okay, you didn't commit it. Maybe it was not that good. So I find 90 cents and the conversation.
You know,
Over and out.
Wayne Gretzky, the great hockey great, once said,
Right.
"I missed
Okay.
every shot I
Now,
didn't take."
I'm back to me, and when people move about, we are getting noises off.
Yeah.
I think the situation is, I might have been caught smiling at the wrong time whilst you were speaking, and I'm going to blame Nick and Harper because whilst everyone was talking, Nick and Harper were cracking jokes in the internal messaging. So it wasn't anything that you said. It was basically just a bit of fun. Now, the thing is about
I saw the joke.
I'm going to try and bring Jim's camera back. Just a minute.
Yeah. And every time you write, folks, I've got a big private chat box comes in and just covers the screen in my mobile phone, unfortunately.
Oh. You know,
Right.
Wayne Gretzky once said,
okay,
Marco,
question first. Can anybody see Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Wait,
Yeah, we can see and hear Jim.
Right, okay,
please
fine.
come back.
I was just going to say, Gretzky said
I've
you
just got
miss
a black
100%
oblong
of
at
the
the
shots you
moment,
don't take.
but I could refresh, but I won't. Right, I think the thing about being in business is you've always got to be trying to do something new. Yeah, if you just go along doing the same thing day after day and you don't innovate, you don't get anywhere. Jim.
Yes. You know, I said
Can you hear
earlier that
Jim?
Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Stephen's not hearing you. Stephen, I think you should refresh.
Yeah, you're not
I'll
hearing me,
leave the
Steve.
thought to you all. I shall be back.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hate
Right.
that.
When he goes, shut the door and lock it.
Who needs friends like you?
Gosh.
Peter?
Yeah. Stephen wasn't hearing me. I was wondering why he kept ignoring
I know.
me. I think, my gosh, you're missing my breath. You know?
It's so
Well,
rude
Ian,
talking over you.
listen, while he's coming back, Jim,
I can-
just 2 years ago, I gave my biggest ever talk, an inspirational, motivational talk for 500 people as well. The biggest one I've ever done. It went down really well. And I told the story I told you today. Now, remember I said I was a milkman and I tried 7 times to get the job. And this is absolutely true. This is true what I'm going to tell you. It was kids and their kids and their mums and dads and grannies in a big hall in Aberdeen, big exhibition. Anyway, so what happened, I said to them, I tried 7 times, and every time the man said, I didn't swear, I just says, no chance. He actually said at one point, I'm getting fed up by you. Anyway, so years later, established business, the local milk depot closed. And one day I got a phone call, right? And I answered it. He said, hello, Peter, it's Brian. I'll call him Brian because that was his name. And he said, it's Brian. He says, do you remember me? I was your supervisor at the Milkman. This is a guy that I'd asked.
From Monty Python?
Right. And it said, so this was the same guy. He said to me, I wonder if you've any jobs, Peter. I said, you've got another 6 attempts.
Yes, you did. Hey, before we resume, everybody noticed?
He gave up.
Has everybody noticed that when Stephen went off, the noise stopped? It was Stephen.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen was the noise. I mean, it's quiet now.
Yeah.
We're all looking for the noise.
Yeah. So that was it. So Jim, that was me, my biggest ever speech, and I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've been to Toastmasters for years. And
well, you're a great speaker. You're very eloquent.
Could you get me some gigs? I'll interview about me in my business life, and I'll tell you things that have happened.
You want to fly across the pond? I can get you some gigs.
Well, to give me money, yes, I'd like that. Yes. But
I get $10,000 a speech.
Yeah. Oh, right. I'll take 5.
Okay. Yeah. But
I met a fellow. See, a fellow Toastmaster phoned me the other day. It's funny. I met a couple of them recently. Although I don't participate at the moment, but they phoned me about business, and I went and had a chat. And I said, "Do you know something? I didn't do what I wanted to do because of Toastmasters. I wanted to go motivational speaking and stuff like that. It didn't go that far."
Hey, Peter, let me interrupt you a second. Toastmasters is the amateur.
Yes.
I'm a member of the National Speakers Association, International Speakers. And I am what they call a CSP, Certified Speaking Professional. profession.
Yeah.
That is the highest earned ranking in the Speakers Association. And there is Speakers Association, International Speakers Association in the UK.
I'm a member. I'm a member of it.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then why are you not getting those $5,000 speeches?
Do you know Patricia Fripp?
Of course I know Fripp.
Well, Patricia actually evaluated me a talk. Yeah? So
But she's a $20,000 speaker.
I know.
I'm not at the top of the game. I know many $25,000, $30,000 speakers that command $30,000, $25,000.
I know a few of the names, but
Well,
so
I do my speeches for cheese sandwich and a mess of pizza.
Yeah. Free pizza. Well, I'm going to start streaming in Portuguese.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not good at it, not my native language, but I'm good.
Yeah. But when I went to Toastmasters, I've done well with it. I actually went to America and done speaker training, instructor, and came back and never done nothing because of my illness. But I looked back and what speaking has done for me. Do you know the biggest problem I've got in my industry and in life? I'll tell you who it is. Health and safety officers. I'm sure you get them too. So I said, where do they hang out? And I found them. And I says, do you ever have stock speeches and things like that? And they said, yes, we're always looking for. I says, could I come? Now, I went, I got a meal, I got a lovely pen, and that's all I got. But that was great. And I got a chance to speak to people who didn't really know my business. And I asked the question, are pest controllers licensed in the UK? And they all put up their hands saying yes. I said, well, you're all wrong. And that was a good start.
Yeah.
And then what happened was a year later, I got a job. And I said to the guy, how'd you get my name? He says, well, health and safety officer said you give a talk. That has turned in over the years to £100,000 worth of work.
That's good.
I got a story.
So it comes in different ways. You know, it might not be the way, and it's also helped me deal with awkward customers. Not that I get a lot of them. It's helped me deal with staff who haven't been good boys, like when they don't shave. Pet hate of mine. I says to him, I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm not going to give you more wages. What I'm going to do is give you a quarterly bonus. Oh, thank you very much. This is very good. Do you know what the bonus is called? He goes, no. I says, it's the shaving bonus.
let me tell you a story.
Yes.
In the 70s, before I was a professional speaker, I was a DJ.
Yeah.
Which got me a lot of my speaking ability. So my roommate, and we had a 2-bedroom apartment in a singles complex, was a CPA named James Karpowitz. So I came home one day and I said, Karpowitz, you'll never believe it. He said, what? I said, I have got a speech I'm doing for independent life insurance on living with stress and winning. And he said, living with stress? What do you know about stress? I said, they're paying me $7,000 and they're flying their executives in from all over the country to Jacksonville. He said, well, you don't know anything about stress. I said, yes, I'm going to the bookstore and buy a bunch of books on stress this evening.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And I did.
That in itself was stress.
I've got it in my scrapbook where I was. They put me in their national newsletter for independent life all over the country. James Ziegler, motivational therapist.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
that was the first one. Nick, do you know Marcus Kauke?
No, Marcus Kauke. No,
he's a friend of Fraser Hay, and Marcus is a marketing guy in the UK. He's a friend of mine. He was in the U.S. He was in Baltimore, Maryland, about 2 years ago, and I booked a plane, and I actually flew to Baltimore to meet with him, just to see him, because I met him on the keyboard, and I knew him on social media, and we went to Baltimore, and Baltimore's famous for crabs. So we ate steamed crabs, and we called it the Great Crustacean Apocalypse.
Gym and food, perfect combination. Gym and food.
What do you know about me and food? I mean,
I love
who here cooks? Mark.
Me, no.
Okay. You know, Maria, you've been following my cooking.
No, I haven't been following, but I know you spoke about it last week. And when you talk about seafood, I see food all over the place, you know, so you get me motivated there, Jim, to try different.
We had deep fried lobster tail last night.
Oh, yeah. I saw the photo. Yeah.
You saw the photo? Yes.
I tell you what, here's one. When I was out in Germany, these contracts used to run for a few years. So every now and again, there'd be a big gap where I'd basically do sod all. That was the truth. And so in one of those gaps, I went and got a diploma in gourmet cooking and catering. One of the best things I ever did. I always enjoyed it. Always liked chopping things up. But oh my goodness, it just took my cooking to another level. It was just unbelievable. And then
Marco, do you cook?
I used to, but lately I became a little lazy. When I was studying,
it's Marco that's got a sound.
You're really quiet, Marco. You're almost muffled.
Yeah. Get out.
And now.
Reef, get out of your own show, the pair of you.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Bring Stephen back.
Let him speak, and let's see if he's got the noise.
Yeah.
I think he does.
I think you got the noise, Marco.
Hello?
Marco, you're the noise.
I don't hear noise.
Yeah, I hear it in the background. Yeah.
The witch of Salem. The witch.
Okay, I'll live.
Burn him at the stake. Burn him at the stake.
Oh, that's technology. That's technology for you, you know. Oh my God. It's not one thing, it's another. Every time I do something live, it's a one thing or another. I have to overcome and learn how to handle it. It's like I run from one platform to another because one is misbehaving. So I have to do a show, so I have to run to another platform.
You hear me?
Can you hear me, Marco? Yeah, I can hear you.
Hang on. Marco's testing a different mic. Go ahead, Marco.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't hear the background noise either. So
okay, it was something here. Okay, shame on me.
Yeah. Did you have both mics on?
No.
Okay.
Really?
But he had 14 sets of speakers on.
Stop laughing at me, Harper. This is for you.
I mean, what?
I kill you. I kill you. I kill you.
We have ways to make you talk.
Oh my God!
Hang on, I'm connecting.
Oh my God! You remember those sounds years ago? My goodness!
The little guy running across the screen.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Oh my word.
I was one of I'm one of 5 kids, and so you can just imagine siblings picking up the phone just to knock you offline, and you're like, "Who did that?"
I remember we had one telephone in the house. Of course, that's what you did in 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And I would be talking to my boyfriends. Remember, they said, "Would you please get off the phone? We want to use the phone, right?" I mean, all these memories I have starting to come back now. It's so funny.
My wife was the personal assistant of Dennis Hayes, who invented the Hayes telephone modem. I mean, he was a multi-millionaire. He was a tech giant back in the 80s and the 90s. And all of a sudden, modems are no longer used, telephone modems, and Dennis Hayes and that company bankrupted.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You have to move with the times. You have to move with the times.
Yeah, you got to.
You move with the times, eh?
He invented the phone modem. Just incredible.
No, I think, Maria, there's a bit of an echo coming when you speak.
Hello?
I'm like a witch hunter.
You calling Maria a witch? That's a bit rude.
Yeah, no, that's what
What did you say?
you know, that's what they call nurses that come into wards to look for, what do you call that, staphylococcal and things on nurses' hands, and they
Yes.
check them out to see if they've washed their hands and that properly, and they're called the witches, and they come in
Oh.
to the wards to find out who's got this, you know. So Stephen's gone, is he?
I wanted to tell Stephen something. He lives near Stonehenge.
Yes.
And
Yeah, he's about 20 minutes from
last
Stonehenge.
week, they announced that for the first time, they have definitively found, and this is true, where the stones came from for Stonehenge. And everybody assumed they came from Wales.
Mhm.
Only the blue stones came from Wales. Guess where the majority of stones in Stonehenge came from? Wiltshire, where he lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
10
down the road.
miles
Yeah.
away. The stones came from Stephen's hometown. They didn't come from Wales, as has been thought for hundreds of years.
Mm.
They thought the Druids brought the stones over from Wales. They only brought the blue stones.
Yeah.
And they just announced it last week.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
How's another fact
tomorrow,
for you?
Stephen will be there asking, "I want my rocks back."
Yeah.
Yeah, where's my rocks?
Yeah.
Do you know what Aberdeen's famous for rock-wise? Well, you obviously don't. Granite. Granite. That's why it's called the Granite City. And also the Silver City, Aberdeen's called. Don't hear it so much now, because when you would come in a ship, the whole city would sparkle. And there's a granite quarry just down from me, which they've opened up and they've got canoeing and things in it. But if we need granite now for the city to do something up, guess where it comes from?
Aberdeen.
China.
Portugal.
No, near the Lucasian, Japan.
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 Long way away.
Atlanta, where I live, is the #1 source of granite for the United States.
Yeah.
We have a place called Stone Mountain, which is a granite outcropping that's made a mountain. But beneath me right now is a half a mile of granite.
Yeah.
The whole foundation. That's why we don't have
What are
earthquakes.
you saying, Jim?
Yeah.
You're in the moon, man. That's
Yeah.
not
I'm on the
granite.
moon. Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
I'm on the moon.
Yeah, you just got a cheese underneath you.
Was that where Fred Flintstone worked?
Yeah, here in Arizona, we were known as the Copper State before Grand Canyon became a national park. But yeah. we lead copper, and we got a lot of quartz right on the border between Southern California and Arizona.
Yeah.
Poor Stephen. What happened to Stephen?
He's
Are
here,
you-
but he's not.
he's
Doesn't have a
behind
camera working. But yeah, he's monitoring.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yes.
We can't speak about him now. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
you-
we can't
You
ignore
can speak about him.
he'll throw us off.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Every
What a
time somebody
shame.
types, it's horrible for me. Hold on. Right.
So
Yeah, I
real
don't know
quick,
what we've got in Farnborough. Just earth, I think. I don't know. Gravel, I think.
there-
Oh,
So Stephen says he has camera problems.
yeah.
camera problems. Okay. Right. I'll just,
Oh my gosh, that's a shame.
these things.
Especially for a live streamer. A live streamer with camera problems. And that's a
Hold it.
major.
The thing
Yeah.
is, he's got as many apps and cameras and things. He's doing a good
Yeah.
job right here. Trying to get us in the end the cheapest form of going straight to your website. Good on him. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going, Stephen. I need it cheaper than it is. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know what?
Peter, did you
wanna
get
learn
the
from
VI
Stephen?
lounge?
Yeah.
Perhaps Stephen likes to test very much things, and so he has more risk.
He's
He
a
has
risk
some-
taker.
Yeah, he's a risk taker. He is. God bless him. God bless him.
There's a good
Nick, you caught my show yesterday.
I did catch your show yesterday. It was great. And as I said to you, it's that energy and vibe, because it wasn't my thing, but you had some great people on there. All bound. There was one lady didn't say much, but everyone else was busy chatting, and it was it was really interesting actually. So you know when you get into it, and I got to admit, as I said to you, I didn't watch it all. I was like jumping to little bits to get the flavour of it. It was really cool. And here's a good question for us. You see, I said to Jim, I said it's the energy, because it's something I believe it's just the guys, certainly in the States, when I chat to people stateside, they kind of have that energy and openness and excitement that we Brits are kind of a little bit more reserved, and Europeans, I think, a little bit more reserved.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
we probably do with a little bit more.
Except Peter.
Yeah. Peter is the honourable exception.
And I'm actually quite a shy person, would you believe? And speaking about YouTube and things, you've noticed I'm getting more handsome. You have noticed that, have you?
Oh, absolutely.
Look at that complexion.
I thought it was Brad. I thought it was Brad Pitt. I thought it was Brad Pitt.
So no,
I think he will change the name to Brad Peter.
Yeah, going back to cooking, I'm on a low carb. I'm on low carb cooking now, and I make my own bread and things like that. But let me tell you, with YouTube, Nick, they're called Keto Fitness Club. They've started doing more YouTube videos, and it's amazing the hits they're getting. And people come along and they join the club and they say, "Oh, we found you on YouTube." So they're doing it right, and it's really building up. So they're going to be doing more. And you know what they've done? They've got recipes that I like, and they've cut them with some music, showing you every bit, no waffle in between. Do. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. But they do take a bit of time to make, I've heard.
Yeah. Ping us a link, Peter. I'd love to see that. I don't know whether you've noticed. I've lost just under a stone, so that's about 6 kilos in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and that's I've not been doing any crazy fitness stuff at all. And it's just one of my business coaches. He's a guy that's done he's 63. He's done over 100 Ironman triathlons.
Right.
And we were talking about the balance of work and health. And he said, he said, seriously, just go for a walk every morning at 6 o'clock. He said, send me a video so I know you've done it. He said, and then just basically don't eat bread, pasta, or rice. And I said, or potatoes. I said, that's all my things I love. But the transformation has been amazing. Yeah.
Well, you will really like this site, because I love most of that food as well. And now I've changed my sugar, because I was going to go on insulin. I'm now down to 11 stone 5, and I've set a challenge. Actually, I'm doing a mile a morning, and I got up and I was out at 20 to 5 this morning walking a mile, and I videoed and spoke live to the group, right? And then I put it on Strava, and I put it up, and it actually inspires people. People look at it and say, "Oh, right." And the miles are getting easier. Now, I usually take the dog, but today I didn't take a dog because Sheila's back. And the dog's not coming again because it's always sniffing here and sniffing there and doing a pee here. I've no time. I need to speed up and burn weight off. So I'm going to walk in my own with my radio, walk in, and then Sheila's taking the dogs out, and I'll take a dog out another time. But you're right. And I've seen a big difference for walking that mile. And I've done 34 miles, I think, the weekend on my bicycle.
Yeah, so you're doing your stuff on your bicycle. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you watch that?
What, on your bicycle? I see your posts. Yeah. I don't stalk you, Peter, but I kind of keep a look.
It's interesting because that's what I'm doing a YouTube channel. It's called Zipped Up Life. It's going to be my YouTube channel about cooking, low carb, cycling, and being adventurous. And then I'll slip in about my business. I'll put about my business and stuff like that. Watch this space.
Yeah, Peter, exactly that.
I've lost 85 pounds. 85 pounds. Yeah. That's the cancer diet. Don't do it.
No.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme.
That diet could kill you.
When I caught the cancer, I was 275 pounds, and now I'm 198.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah.
See, we don't speak in pounds. Every time you speak about pounds, I'm trying to calculate 2.2 pounds per kilo, stuff like that. Are you, Nick?
Yeah, it's a pain, isn't it? I never know which one's which, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what I got? Here, folks, you know what I got? I got new skills called Renfo, and you go on, and you put your feet on these bits, right? And if you're too big, it says, "Get off! Come back!"
Get off your back. Yeah.
But these Renfo skills, you got an app, and I done it because they told me about it in the club, and I sent it back. Do you know something? I'm a perfect specimen. Everything was green, apart from a wee touch of BMI, but that's not true anyway. Everything was green, and I couldn't believe it.
We often say that when we're talking about you. We do say, Peter, oh, what, the perfect specimen? We say, yes.
That's me.
I say that. We always say that.
Right.
And when Jim talks about plucking up the courage to the girl in the nightclub, we always go, yeah, Peter never had that trouble.
No. I was actually the type that was against the wall. You wouldn't believe it. I didn't get when I got divorced. I'll tell you something now. I used to have a thing called a Passion. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
And I would walk to girls and I would say, "Hi there. Have I not met you before?" That was a good line. I think I know you from somewhere. What's your name? I'm Peter. And then I said, "Would you like to be Tuesday?" She goes, "What do you mean, Tuesday?" I says, "Well, I see Mary on Monday, and I see this one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday I go out on my own. You can be Tuesday if you want."
Well, that definitely impressed him.
Actually, it reminded
you
me
know
of
something? They give me their number. They would give me their number.
They
No.
Then when I phone, they give me the wrong number.
No way.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though for myself, because I'm a very shy person, even though I was a performer, always have been shy. I always looked for the shy boys. I wasn't interested in the boisterous show-offs.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of person. I didn't want that kind of person in my life. I wanted someone who was smart. I wanted a man who was good looking, but smarter than good looking. That knew who he was, but was on the shy side, didn't have to show off because they felt within themselves who they were. And I've always
went
found
for the shy guys.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I think back to when I was in my 20s. If I was a girl, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near me, to be honest. It reminds me of a nightclub I was in with a friend of mine, Tony, and he was like, "Oh, what about that blonde over there? Why don't you go and ask her?" Like, "Yeah, I dare you, son, I dare you." And she was probably good 10 years older than me, and she was stunning. So I said, "Go on then, okay, no worries." So I went over, asked her to dance and everything. She said, "No, thank you." So I came back, and Tony's like, "Oh," he goes, "You must."
Nick,
I said,
when I was
Tony, you get used to it. I said.
Hey, Nick, when I was a DJ, I was 7 to midnight.
Oh, you must have been beating them off with a stick.
So about 10 o'clock, I would start interviewing my dates.
Interviewing your dates, okay.
Hi, listen to this. Hi, Dr. X, a big-time radio celebrity. It's 10:30 in the city in the evening. And ladies, I know you're sitting out there all alone, and I want you to turn your lights down low, let your juices flow, pull your pillows up close to your body. This is Elvis the King. Are you lonesome tonight? If you're lonesome tonight, give me a call, 358-1818.
I love it.
Who have I got on the phone? This is Betty. Hey, Betty, are you calling to get a date with me?
I think that's a good a note as any to finish on. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Nick and Peter. Before this goes quickly south, Marco, it's over to you.
So, for those of you who don't know, tomorrow it will be the day of Portugal. Camões, which was the biggest Portuguese poet, and also the Portuguese communities around the world. So I maybe will do a special show on Amazon, but it will be a holiday here in Portugal. So we will tune in next week. I don't know which topic we will pick, but I will come up with something. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stephen has to leave because he will go to Stonehenge, pick the rocks they stole from Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye. See you next week.